Hey guys, Scripted here with another video, and so the big news today in the Star Wars world, or at least the last couple of days, is this whole issue of how much money Lucasfilm has made off of Star Wars since purchasing it from George Lucas. And so I've done a little bit of research today into the sales throughout the history, as well as the merchandise sales. The big one was that they apparently got $1 billion from merch sales last year. And at first glance, you're like, oh, that's actually pretty good. And it's not bad, but it's not really very good either. So $12 billion off Star Wars last year. Here's the problem with some of these numbers. There's no way they made $12 billion last year off Star Wars. It's just not reality. Over the course of 30 years, George made, $35 billion or something total. And that's one of the things I also want to talk about is why he sold it for only $4 billion. I find that very strange. But anyways, so here's the historical factor behind this. The $20 billion in merchandise sold through the film series reveals the resonance of a simple good versus evil story and the mastermind brushstrokes of the filmmaker. Yes, timeless themes are better than modern social politics. That is a fact. Star Wars homages certainly have had a storied history. There are Seth Green's Robot Chicken specials, the recent Christmas episode of Glee, The Blue Harvest, blah, 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 Family Guy. Okay. Volkswagen vignette. Basically, they're just talking about all the different things that have had Star Wars in it. The original Star Wars, A New Hope. Last year alone, the franchise raked in $3 billion in licensing revenue. Okay, so $3 billion in licensing revenue. This article was written in 2012. So to put that in perspective, okay, so again, they're making this big deal about the $1 billion in merchandise sold. In 2012, $3 billion. Okay, so I just went into this inflation calculator. So $3 billion today would be $4.1 billion. Okay? So in reality, this is $4.1 billion in today's money. And that's in 2012. So in 2012, there were no new movies. There was nothing. It was just Star Wars stuff. and Lucasfilm raked in $4.1 billion in today's money in 1 year. Which goes back to my earlier point, how did George Lucas only sell this for $4 billion? If he was making $4 billion a year off of licensing in the years leading up to the sale. So I think Disney got off pretty good only paying $4 billion. From lightsabers sold at Target to the more than 1.5 million devotees who have subscribed to the online role-playing game Star Wars The Old Republic since December, to every little Yoda who shows up at your door on Halloween, Star Wars is as ambiguous as ever. The great achievement of Star Wars had been to take a moribund genre in science fiction and restore it to popularity. Indeed, Star Wars' fundamental tale of good versus evil, set against the backdrop of a dysfunctional father-son relationship, contains themes that resonate with viewers of any age. Oh. Ask anyone with children. What once was a game of cowboys and Indians on pre-Star Wars playgrounds has morphed into post-Lucas era into moral battles involving characters now easily purchased. Over the span of Star Wars' lifetime, $20 billion and counting of licensed goods has been sold. This on top of the $4.4 billion in tickets and $3.8 billion on home entertainment products with an ever-renewing fan base. Cartoon Network, Clone Wars, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this on top of the $4.4 billion, and so you're getting into the $30 billion range with everything. So again, how is it possible that Disney purchased this for only $4 billion? And I know that's not profit, that's gross sales, but still, that's crazy. Kenner sold an early, they couldn't keep up with it. We already know all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Today, Star Wars is consistently among the top 5 licensed toy brands, bringing in retail sales of more than $3 billion in 2011, which again is well over $4 billion in our money today. And again, there were no movies. Think of how crazy this is. This is years after Revenge of the Sith, and he's still raking in $4 billion in today's money in merchandise and stuff. And today they're bringing in 1 billion. And they've got all the sequel movies. They've got TV shows coming out every 6 months to a year. They've got all this stuff. And they're barely cracking 1 billion. And people are excited about how great it is. Like this guy saying, haters be damned. Well, not to be mean, dude, but that's not really very good. Especially when you have all these shows coming out. And you dropped all the merchandise for The Acolyte. It's gone from the store because nobody was buying it. And when George had nothing going on other than, there was the animated shows and stuff like that. But he was still raking in $4 billion. That's wild stuff. A year. So again, I don't know how they managed to purchase it for only $4 billion, but whatever. In 1999, as part of a drive to relicense Star Wars, time to launch of the second trilogy of movies, Lucas agreed to a construction toy license with Lego. It was the first time the Danish company had licensed any movie or TV show. We felt this was something we could recreate for a fantastic Lego experience. Yeah, and those sets actually were affordable. Now they're not anymore. Since Howard Rothman became head of licensing in 86, 2005, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. After he made the second trilogy, and it was done in 2005, Lucas swore he was done, but the sale of merchandise and continuing interest showed him there was more to do. This time with a new generation, so he expanded the story back 1,000 years to create a prequel that became the Clone Wars. What? First mentioned in The Phantom Menace in 99, it has grown into a whole new world of Star Wars that started as a theatrical release in 2008. Yeah, and it's a show. Okay, it didn't go back 1,000 years. I don't know where they're getting that from. The Clone Wars takes place between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Anyway, so they go on to all this stuff. With a personal fortune, Forbes estimated $3.2 billion in 2011. Lucas says he is having a great time. I've got one daughter in martial arts, blah, blah, blah. But first he has to work on a script for Indiana Jones 5, finish the expansion. Wow, they were talking about Indiana Jones 5 way back then, eh? Okay, so that's reality. So he's making $4 billion a year just off of merchandise. That's crazy. And then we get this article. Oh, there's $1 billion coming off merch sales last year in 2023. Like, that's not good. The report states that Galaxy's Edge attraction, they sold 1.2 million lightsabers in both locations in the United States. They missed out on some Baby Yoda sales because they weren't ready when The Mandalorian came out, which happened in 1977 as well. They didn't realize the popularity would be that crazy, and they missed the first Christmas run. Yes, The Acolyte, removal of majority of its merchandise from Disney's online store got a lot of people riled up. The machine that is the Star Wars franchise continues to chug along. There are currently almost 10 upcoming movies in various stages. No, there's not. No, there's not. No, that's Bubkiss. Skeleton Crew will be released on December 3rd and seems ripe to be another merchandise success for the company as the story takes place in the same time period as The Mandalorian. See, they're trying to spin this as a success when literally they're getting a quarter of the merch sales that George was getting. And George didn't have theme parks. Like they mentioned, all the lightsabers they're selling at theme parks and stuff. He didn't have any of that. It was literally go to the toy store or go to Target. Now you go to Target or you go to Walmart or you go to these places, there's almost nothing Star Wars now. A handful of items. So how is selling a quarter of the merch that George did when George had no movies, no nothing? He had a cartoon on Cartoon Network. And you guys have all these shows on Disney Plus that have come out in the last few years and continue to. And you're doing 1/4 of the merch sales. How is that good? And again, it's alive, it's breathing, but it's dying, as I've said multiple times. In the next 5 to 10 years, Star Wars will be over. It's just slowly dying. Despite recent backlash from many fans over the perceived direction of Star Wars has been going in recent years, it's clear that Disney's acquisition of the franchise has at least proven to be a financial success on the merchandise sales of things. How is that a success? 1/4 of the sales that he was getting in 2011. How is that a success? Now, this is an article from 2015. And as you can see here, this is almost $30 billion in merchandise and stuff and DVDs. So how did they buy it for only $4 billion? I'll never understand that. Like literally the year before they bought it for $4.2 billion, George made $4.1 billion or $4.02 billion. George made $4.1 billion off of merch. Crazy. Disney has made deals with scores of companies to create Star Wars branded products, from CoverGirl to Lego. Hasbro released more than 100 new toys in the lead up to Force Awakens. Walmart announced it would carry more than 500 products in stores and thousands more online. And then they didn't even have a toy line for The Rise of Skywalker. But it's a success, guys. This is all a success. All that to say, it's slowly dying, and it's obvious that it's slowly dying, and these guys can spin it all they want, and haters be damned. It's not a hater thing, it's a reality thing, and when they're doing a quarter of what he was doing, that means it's dying. I don't understand how this is difficult. I don't understand why the media can't just do the quick math on this that I just did. It took me 5 minutes. So anyways, that's basically the way it is. They're not making nearly as much money as they're claiming, or at least as they're hyping it to be. All I have to say, we're watching them slowly die, and the numbers prove it. I don't know what's with these articles, but let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. It always helps the channel. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.